Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I know it's not Monday, but it is Tuesday. And some of you probably were like, Larry, where was your A Free Solution show today? I am devastated. I didn't hear it today on the radio at noon. I know some of you are scared. Some of you are worried that, oh my God, Larry Sharpe wasn't on. It's okay. It's okay. I only skipped a week because we skipped a week. That's fine. We'll be back on next week every Tuesday at noon. So instead, I'm on tonight. You still get me on Tuesday, but not at noon, but instead at 7 p.m. And I'm specifically coming on tonight because of a relatively special reason. And that is we saw what happened in New York City. Many of you did. Just saw what happened in New York City this morning. New York City, corruption and violence, not crazy for New York City. We know this. This is a thing that happens. We're aware of this. But it was special. It was special this time. Why was it special? It was special because of not even because of the death toll. So far, no one died, which is awesome. Happy about that. So as far as death toll, not crazy for New York, right? There's worse when it comes to death toll. So I'm glad about that. But it's the way it happened. So many of the mass shootings that do happen throughout the country, throughout the world, most of them are actually just public suicides. These are people who want to go out in a blaze of glory and they shoot people up and they know they're going to get caught, or they know they're going to get shot, or they're planning on getting killed, or they blow themselves up, whatever. They do that kind of thing. This wasn't that. This was someone who planned it, and he planned it in a subway station in a scary way of doing things. He came in with a gas mask, dropped out some gas, and then started shooting people. That's a real thing. That's a serious issue. Why, you might say? Like, why is this special from any other bad thing that happens in New York City? And look, Larry, nobody died. Is it really that bad? Oh, I would say yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because that means somebody planned it. For those of you who don't know, the cameras in the station weren't working. Is it possible that person knew? Maybe. Maybe they were just lucky. It's possible. But they might have planned it that far. In other words, they knew the cameras weren't working. That's possible. It's been, 16 hours or however long it's been. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a while, 12 hours, whatever it's been. They haven't caught the guy yet. So he's good at what he did. He went in, filled up the gas, started shooting people, and then escaped. And they haven't caught him. In the subway. That's a planned, he figured this out and thought this thing through. Now, the problem is, the odds are he's a lone wolf. That's the odds. So that means he's someone who had something to prove for whatever reason. What they can see, he's a black man, short black man, around 5'5". For men, average male is about 5'9" is the average male. So he's shorter than the average male, black man, and heavy set. And that's what they believe he is so far. And he used a U-Haul. They believe that's the case. So maybe they'll find the guy. Eventually, maybe they will. Maybe he made that mistake and they'll find out. Maybe he stole it. Who knows what he's thinking. But there's a problem. He went through all this. But my gut tells me, lone wolf, but my gut also tells me he's a military wannabe. Why, you might say? Why would you think that, Larry? I'll tell you why. Because the people who were shot were all shot in the legs. Now, you might say, well, Larry, yeah, but there was also shrapnel. That means there could be like explosive devices. No, for any of you who've been trained in the military, you know that in urban combat, one of the harshest things you deal with in urban combat are ricochets, right? You're out in the woods, you're firing your weapon, the round goes into a tree, stays in the tree. Bullet goes in the ground, stays in the ground. But when you're around concrete and steel and plastic, it goes in concrete and steel, sometimes bounces off, shards splatter. That's what happens. Ricochets are everywhere in urban combat. Well, this guy might have known that, who knows? But my gut says he didn't know that. And all the shards went. It also means he didn't pull his weapon to his face. If you're trained in this, as all Marines are trained how to fire with a gas mask on, we know how to fight in these kinds of environments, you still pull your weapon to your face and you fire straight. He probably didn't. Not knowing any better, not being able to see in the gas mask, He fired from the hip. You fire from the hip, you tend to fire low. So he fired low and shot people in the legs, meaning he's untrained. So he's a military wannabe. He's trying to prove something. He's a tough guy. I'll show you. Or worse, he is trained and purposely fired low because he didn't want to kill anybody because he's that trained. I hope that's not the case. If I got to choose from those two, I'm hoping untrained, right? That is my hope. It is untrained. So, but this is an issue. This isn't some guy who has a mental illness or somebody who's, struggling with their addiction and wants to hurt somebody or someone who's having a bad flashback. No, this is someone who planned and got away. Planned, was able to shoot, if I remember right, 10 people, 9 or 10 people he shot, I think 10 people, shoot 10 people, injure over 20, and get away. That's a big deal. Now, of course, you might say, well, Larry, that's a big deal. We got to lock this down. We got to get more cops on the street, blah, blah. Why? It's a serious question. Why? What will more cops or more gun control do? If this guy planned it that well, he would just plan to avoid the cops again, wouldn't he? Doesn't hurt that guy. They're probably going to get him anyway. They when it comes after the fact, cops tend to get their guy, but not always, right? For those of you who may not know this, in a case like this, they'll probably get him because it's a popular case. In cases not like this, most of the time a first-time murderer gets away. That's across the country. We usually don't solve murders. But there's not a murder, and this is a popular case. The cops will find, they will eventually probably find him. I mean, the odds are high they'll just find him one day because they'll all look bad if they don't. Not that they care about the victims. The cops probably do because the cops live there. They care about it. The leadership doesn't care about the victims at all. That's secondary. They don't care. They will use it just to, of course, now they'll push more gun control, more bail reform. They will use it to crush us. So that they'll do. But do they care about the actual victims? No. They don't care. That's secondary, tertiary to them. Maybe the cops who are local might care because they might know the people. So I don't know the cops specifically. The cops might care. But the leadership does not care. That I'm 100% sure of. They don't care at all. You can see how they even talk about it. They don't care. This is a big issue because someone did this. If they don't catch him, you've just trained that you can do this. You can do this now. But the worst part of all of this, New York City is showing its incompetence in so many ways. Incompetence piece number one, the cameras don't work. How much money do we spend on these goddamn cameras? Literally millions upon millions of dollars, and they don't work. So why do we put cameras in there? For what? The cameras don't work. Come on now. How much money do we put into that? So they cannot work when we need them. Again, total incompetence. Total incompetence. Not just that. Why with so much violence that's happening in the subway, we couldn't stop that guy? We couldn't catch him even. None of that. Worse on top of it, we're trying, I guess, in theory, to bring people back to New York City. And we're not doing a good job of it at all. Our answer, the Mayor Adams, is, you have to come back in. Why? Because I'm begging you. Because I said so. Cuomo wasn't any better. Remember, Cuomo said, I'm going to sing you, I'm going to cook you dinner, whatever. Super creepy back then and still creepy now. Cuomo was saying that then, right? Oh, I'm going to cook dinner. Come on back to New York. Remember that? Now, Adams, you have to go. We need you back. So why do I give a damn if you need me back? How about don't have people get shot up in the subway? Maybe I'll come back. I probably still won't because this is a draconian, horrible city that I live in. Yes, I can say it because I live here. It is a horrible, draconian city. Yes, run by incompetent people who think the only answer is more violence. Because we spent this morning in New York State, what were we talking about? Banning ghost guns, because that's the problem. Banning ghost guns. Banning guns, and I'm sorry, making guns illegal that are already illegal. If you own the gun in New York State, meaning you physically have it, and you didn't purchase it legally, it is by default illegal. So what did you just do with your new law? You made something illegal, illegaler. Because that always works. That's what we're focusing on. Not the most important piece. There was a guy in New York City who, with all the cops been running around, all the issues talking about, thought, you know what I could do? I could go into a subway, throw a smoke grenade, shoot some people up, and get away. And he was right. I speak often about happiness. I talk about it all the time. Some of you probably tired of me talking about it. Don't be, because it's what matters. We are going to try to find a simple answer. And when you ask people, when you've done interviews, this is what they say. If they have anything to do with the police, they were a police commissioner, police chief, cop, prosecutor, anything to do with law enforcement, their answer is always the same. Well, it's because these judges and these prosecutors can't put people over bail reform. This has nothing to do with bail reform. Nothing. Bail reform is broken and should be fixed. Clear. Bail reform is broken, should be fixed. That's absolutely true. And it has nothing to do with this case, but they will use it for that. And bail reform. Let the cops be, let the prosecutors put everybody in jail, because that'll solve it until you're the one getting arrested, until it's your loved one. Then all of a sudden you care about bail reform. Then you do. Until that, put them all away. That's number one. Number two, gun control. This has nothing to do with gun control. I can guarantee you the gun that guy had wouldn't have been stopped by any gun control. You can't get, I mean, they're literally making stuff up now to make gun control in New York State. It's already, New York City is the most gun control-y city. Is that a word? It is now. Gun control-y city in the nation. I don't know how you get stricter gun laws. You just, when you find the gun, you shoot the guy with it? Is that the new law? If I catch you with an illegal gun, I kill you with that gun? Maybe that's worse. That's the only thing you can do to make it worse. So they made up this new thing. We'll make ghost guns because we'll make illegal guns illegaler. That's now what they've come up. But they'll push that too now. They'll push more. They will use this to punish the people who didn't do anything wrong. Let me be clear. You've had this happen. Maybe it's your teacher or your boss, and you come to a meeting and the boss is mad because people are late to the meeting. So, or your teacher's mad because kids didn't come to the class, right? So your boss is mad because the meeting's scheduled at 10. It's now 10:10 and 5 people haven't showed up. So your boss yells at you because you're there. Tired of you people being late. The late people aren't here, boss. Why yelling at us? Because you're here and I'm going to yell at you. So the boss punishes you and yells at you when you showed up on time. Because the late people aren't here and he's mad, so he yells at you. This is that. You people aren't doing anything wrong, so I'm punishing you more. I'm going to shut your subway system down. I'm going to put more problems and issues in your world to stop nothing. This is the TSA all over again. TSA, this will happen again. We'll do that. And the problem is, when it comes to the TSA, it's hard to not fly. The government has a monopoly on this. It's difficult not to fly. The government has a monopoly, so they punish us and say, we're a monopoly. You have to use us. We're not going to provide you any better transportation because we don't have to. And you can't go anyplace else because you're not rich. If you're rich, you fly where you want because you're rich. But if you're not wealthy, you do what we say. You'll take your shoes off. You'll give us all your information. With a TSA, even though we have no value whatsoever, you do it anyway. You will watch New York State do the same thing. New York City do the same thing. The problem is New York City is not a monopoly. They will use the same tactics the federal government uses, but it will backfire because you don't have to live in New York City. You go to a different city if you want to. You don't have to even work in New York City physically. You can Zoom in or you can go in remotely. This tactic that they're going to use only works when you're a monopoly. When you're not a monopoly, it doesn't work. New York City is not a monopoly. This is going to fail. But they'll do it. Why will they do it, Larry? Because they don't know any better. They honestly don't know any better. This is a deep problem of people feeling like, I got to show up. I got to do something. I'm going to get my respect. I'm going to show you. Guaranteed this guy either was trying to show people that he was respectful and powerful, or he's a military wannabe or something like that. Or he was like, you know what? I'm mad. So he's going to gain respect, or he's going to teach you guys a lesson, whatever his thought process is. He planned this. This wasn't some angry guy just running around throwing a knife around. This guy planned this. And so far, impressive. That's a bad thing. I shouldn't be able to say that. I don't want more of this. This is my city. My family could have been in that train. Well, not anymore. We don't do that stuff. They've already got us off the subway, so we don't ride the subway anymore. That's already done. So you're going to see others follow what I'm doing. Why would you go on a subway? It already sucked. Like, to be clear, the subway already sucked. Now it sucks 20 times worse. Who was talking about fixing the subway 4 years ago? Oh, right. Larry Sharpe was. And his plan's still on LarrySharpe.com. Who would take that plan? Oh, right. Nobody. Because they're incompetent and don't care. If they care, they take my plan, which has been on my website for 4 years. Take it whenever you want. It's still there. They won't do it because they don't care. Their plan is throw money and beg people, and then we'll just make more cops. Not against cops. The cops do a good job. They should go out there and catch this guy. I hope they do. In some of this, they usually do. Good job, cops. Go do that. That's awesome. But you're not the only answer. Not in this case, for sure. Can't hear people say that. Let me, if I could, I want you to listen to my amazing governor. Off the bat, just coming up with some great stuff. She was on the money in her glory when this happened. This was so good. Now, I'm going to guess, what would Kathy Hochul say or do? Well, here's what Kathy Hochul usually does whenever something happens. Restates the obvious, then says something stupid. That is her norm. Restates the obvious, says something stupid. Let's see if she disappoints.
FDNY to give information about the victims.
So, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize.
They messed up.
The governor would like to speak now.
The governor's going to step in because she's the governor. I get it.
Good afternoon. This morning, ordinary New Yorkers woke up in anticipation of a relatively normal day.
That's not true.
They left their homes en route to school.
Yep.
En route to their jobs.
That's every day.
To a normal day, as I mentioned.
States the obvious.
Sense of tranquility and normalness was disrupted, brutally disrupted.
Yeah.
By an individual.
Yeah.
So cold-hearted and depraved of heart that they.
This is the thing we always do, right? Anytime there's a bad guy that does something bad, we immediately just say terrible, evil, horrible, depraved, crazy. Not that he isn't. Maybe he is. It's possible. But when you do that, you dismiss everything else. And you also do something else. You remove any responsibility whatsoever. And that's my problem. No responsibility at all on her part. It's a crazy people is what it is.
They had no caring about the individuals that they assaulted as they simply went about their daily lives.
Tell
This
me.
individual is still on the loose. This person
Yes,
is
he is.
dangerous.
Yep. This person's on the loose and they're dangerous. I'm glad you told me this person was dangerous. The person who shot 10 people and has a gun, uses gas mask and gas, I would have thought he was my best friend.
We're asking individuals to be very vigilant and alert.
Okay.
You'll get more reports on specificity as the day goes on.
Tell me what else.
This is an active shooter situation right now in the city of New York.
It's not an active shooter.
Off the phone with the mayor. He's recovering well. He is monitoring. He's actively engaged in the situation.
Yeah, the mayor, by the way, has COVID.
The people of the entire state of New York stand with the people of this city, this community, and we say no more. No more mass shootings.
We say no more mass shootings. Okay. Well, done and done. She did it. Said the obvious, said something stupid. Why would you say something stupid like that? And we say no more. First off, I didn't hear anybody say that. You just said that. So stop doing the royal we. You're not us. But now we say no more. Does that solve it?
No more disrupting lives. No more creating heartbreak for people. Just trying to live their lives as normal New Yorkers.
Well, then will you stop doing what you do? Because you do that too.
It ends now. And we are sick and tired.
It ends now.
Of reading headlines about crime, whether they're mass shootings or the loss of a teenage girl or a 13-year-old.
All right. So why does she do what she just did? Number one, she says it ends now. Do you understand how dumb that is? If you could just dictate it ending now, what you been doing for the past 8 months? You should have said that shit like 8 months ago. You should have had Cuomo say it 8 years ago. If you could just announce it, you should have announced it a long time ago. You should have said, "Hi, I'm the governor, and I'm announcing no more shootings. Done and done." If you had any ability to do so, shouldn't you have announced that 8 months ago? But not just that. Not just that. Not only does she announce it like that, but then she says, we don't want, 13-year-old girls over. Well, that's all gun violence. So she shifted it right into gun violence because she wants to go to fighting all the guns. Fighting all the guns. That's the issue. She doesn't want to make it that her environment has made people act this way. Remember something, I say it all the time. Change the environment, you get better results. Desperate people do desperate things. So when you make more people desperate, you will get more desperate reactions. Less desperate people means less desperate reactions. Happier people means less people fighting like this. So that's what you should be saying. What you should be saying. She'll never say this, but she should be saying is this. My God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that what we did to try to fight this disease made this happen. I'm sorry. I was wrong with all of the unintended consequences that happened from my actions. I'm going to fix this. I take responsibility for what's happening in my city and in my state, and I'm going to try to fix this. If she actually said that, you would have heads turn and go, what? What? My mouth would probably drop open if she actually said that, but she'll never say that. What you do is, I'm going to go blame guns. I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to state the obvious. The reality of it is all of this is unintended consequences from the terrible reaction to the virus. That's the reality. That's what I've been saying for literally years. I put this all down and I told you this would happen 2 years ago, March of 2020. I told you all this would happen, and that's exactly what's happening. Who would have known? I knew. So did you. It is human nature. If you lock people up, take away their purpose, they do desperate things. This is simply human nature. That's how it works.
It has to stop. I'm committing the full resources of our state to fight this surge of crime.
Now, well, what does she say with the full resources? What does that mean? You're going to fight crime. What does that mean? You and I both know what that means. That means more laws, more cops, more people in prison. That's what that means. And here's the worst part of it all. She's a Democrat, and she will tell you all day long that she cares about young people of color. She cares about black men and black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women. She will tell you that all the time. And watch how every one of her policies will put more young black men in prison. She will do exactly the opposite of what she says. Exactly the opposite. Well, Larry, then we got to bring the Republicans in. Why? They won't do any better. All Republicans, you're going to watch Republicans just scream, back to blue, back to blue. That's all they're going to say, back to blue. Back to blue doesn't solve the problem either. More cops? You put more cops into this city against more people. You're going to find more cops being shot. I don't want law enforcement being shot. This is a bad idea for everybody. Law enforcement included, us, their family, not a good idea. Republicans will say that. And then they'll go, oh, we love our cops. Well, they send them into the fire. Like do what our soldiers and Marines overseas. Republicans love doing that. Democrats do also. Democrats have better rhetoric on this one. But they all love sending our youth to die. They're totally happy with that. No problem. Because the elites don't send their kids to die. So they don't care. So that's what you're going to see.
This insanity that is seizing our city because we want to get back to normal.
It's not insanity. You made it happen. Literally, you.
It has been a long, hard 2 years. That's what we crave.
Yes. It's been, at least, see, every once in a while, because she isn't that smart, Cuomo, as much as I hate Cuomo, still hate Cuomo, always hated Cuomo, still hate him now. But as much as I hate him, Cuomo was smart. She's not. She isn't. I'm not trying to insult her. It's not an insult. It sounds like I'm insulting her. But I insult Cuomo worse because Cuomo knows what he's doing, is smart, and is vindictive and mean. I'll cover that in a second too. But she just says the quiet part out loud sometimes. It's been a hard 2 years that I did and was totally part of, did nothing about. Yes.
A sense of stability and normalcy. And this is what the mayor and I are going to continue to work toward. And I thank the partners.
Okay.
The brave people of the MTA, the first ones who had the sense, the drivers of the train, to leave the station to make sure no more victims could be hurt.
Okay, I guess that's good. Yeah. Okay.
The NYPD, FDNY.
So again, the same thing, right? Where about, you know what happened when the people got shot to be forward? You know who? For those of you who don't know, one of them was critical. Why would one be critical? And I'm assuming from my knowledge in the past and what I've dealt with in the past, he fired low on all the people, so they all got shot in the legs and the feet, and then some shrapnel off of ricochets. Right? Some of them, one of them actually probably got hit in the artery, right in that main artery in your leg, and you bleed out and die if you don't get that covered. If you see photos, it's a bunch of average day New Yorkers who are literally taking their shirts and tying them in tourniquets and pushing down and putting pressure on these wounds so people don't bleed out, right? That's what's actually happening. So does she thank them? No. All she ever thanks is government employees. Have you ever noticed that? All she ever thanks is government employees. I'm not against government employees. I love government. If you got a job that pays your bills, it's a government job, good for you. Please pay your bills. That's an awesome thing. It doesn't make you better than anybody else. It makes you the same as everybody else. You're someone who has a job who pays your bills. Awesome. Have that job. You're not better or worse because you happen to work for a private company or for yourself or for the government. You're someone paying your bills. Awesome. Please pay your bills. Stop acting like because you're a government worker, you're somehow better. No, the people who actually stop people from bleeding to death, those are the heroes, whether they were government workers or not. And I'm sure some of them were, just because some people are government workers.
State police, everyone involved in this has one purpose.
State police had nothing. Why would you thank state police when it was a subway shooting? I just want to pander to everybody because I'm in front of a camera. So I'm going to say stupid stuff. I have nothing to say. I never apologize. So I'll just pander to people.
And as to stop the insanity of these crimes, you'll hear now from our fire department. I want to thank them for being there to help us diffuse a volatile situation.
It was already over.
But we'll be giving continued reports as this day unfolds.
But that's what we have to work with. That's what we have to do. And then we have another knucklehead show up who decides he's going to start saying
stable condition at this time.
When it's stable, yes.
Yeah. The MTA for an update on their subways.
Here's an update in the subways. So this guy's going to save the day. What's he do?
First of all, we have to thank the NYPD and the FDNY and the whole team who've done so much to protect us and help immediately to recover from this situation.
Think about how dumb that actually sounds. Again, these are our leaders. I talk about incompetence. Holy shit. Think about this. So literally 20 some odd people are shot. 20 some odd people are injured. 10 are shot, right? And the first thing he says is, thank you for protecting us. First off, you can't expect the cops to protect every person. I wish they could. That would be awesome. They can't. They can't. So let's stop acting like the cops have to do everything. They're just human beings, just like you and I. My father wasn't law enforcement, just human. My father was not magic. He wasn't Superman. I wish he was. He wasn't. He was a regular person, just like you and me, just like everybody else. So the first thing, let me stop and pander. Stop pandering. There are 10 people who are shot, 29 injured, and more importantly, we have a city that depends upon the MTA. Literally depends upon it. Back in its heyday, before COVID hit, before the horrible lockdowns hit, 4 million people use that subway every single day. Now maybe 1 million do. It's going to make no money, and it stifles the city. So stop kissing the ass of everyone around you and start saying, hey, New Yorkers, let's give you a reason to come back to our city. But they don't know any better. This is my point. People get mad because they're mean. They're not mean. They're just not that bright. And they don't know any better. They're literally incompetent. They go back to the same old thing. Pander, pander, pander. Because they don't know any better. So they just keep pandering and saying stuff that means nothing. This entire press conference said nothing.
And I also need to acknowledge the MTA workers who had the foresight to immediately move a train that was on the platform, the R train, out of the station so it could carry people to safety. That was smart thinking. Right now.
All right, I'm going to get out of this piece. I'm going to grab some of your comments because you see what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm talking about. Incompetence, total incompetence this is who's running my city and my state. If you live in this city and state, you know what I'm talking about. This is who we're running. And you would think, well, Larry, then Republicans will work. They're no better. You look at what their statements are. Just terrible bail reform, bail reform, bail reform. To be clear, I'll say it again so no one gets me wrong on this. The bail reform bill is a broken bill that should be fixed. This has nothing to do with that. Nothing. Grab some of your comments here. Oh, I got Avi back. Avi, you haven't been around for a while. I'm glad you're back this evening. Avi says, pandering is the language of leaders of New York State speak. Yes. Accurate. Treat the citizens like idiots, but make them feel good about it. Yes, again. No wonder New York State is a Zimbabwe of the USA. Illinois might be worse. Illinois might be worse. I don't know. Might be worse. This is totally dysfunctional, financially broken, intellectually vacuous, but at least we feel good about ourselves. Absolutely embarrassing. Avi, this is what gets me moving oddly in my seat. Your last part. This is my city, man. I'm embarrassed. You're right. This is embarrassing. And sadly, most New Yorkers are okay with this. They're okay with this. This is embarrassing. Yes. The Scientific Libertarian says Illinois is worse. Yeah, Avi, New York's bad. Illinois is worse. So I do think they're worse. They got Chicago, and they're in so much debt, it's embarrassing. So yes, New York is bad, but I do think when it comes to what we just talked about, I think Illinois is a whole lot worse. So let me grab a couple of the other ones. So, all righty. Let's see here. Gene says, I was just watching the news. Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. The Ultimate War says uneffing real. Yep. 100%. 100%. So Shelley says, should we go back to transit being defined as a separate entity under the NYPD? It was. My father was a transit cop. So that used to be a separate thing. Absolutely. Used to be a separate thing. I'm not sure. Right? I'm not sure. So I don't know. It might work. This isn't right. Policing isn't the issue. The issue is the environment. That, to be clear, that may be a good answer. I'm not necessarily against changing and making it separate transit cops. I'm not necessarily against that idea. However, that doesn't matter for this specific case. This specific case, this should work. So yes. Aren't there cameras all over the place? Says the Frankenstein wrong thinker. Not in this case. There are, but didn't work. So that's my point. Did the guy know that or not? Was he thinking so much that he actually cased the place and knew which ones are working, which ones weren't? Does he work for the MTA and he knows which ones are working on? He was wearing one of them MTA vests so that people would think that he's a worker, so they felt safe. I don't know if you know that. He was wearing one of those reflective vests so that people thought he was a worker, so he felt safe. So he put the mask on, but didn't think anything. Oh, he's some worker doing something. And then gas and boom. So he was thinking. He was absolutely thinking. Isaac says, isn't this just proof that existing gun laws didn't work? Yes. Yes. Happy people don't shoot up subways, even if you give them guns. That's my whole point. Better environment will be okay. Yes. So Shelley says, would have been nice if someone was armed. Yeah, maybe. Yes. Maybe that would have been a good idea. But again, we go to soft targets. That's the point, right? Well, we'll have more cops on the subway. Well, okay. If you're this smart guy, right, this guy, and there's 3 cops in the subway system, and whatever system you're on, you go to the train that doesn't have the cop on it, or you wait till there's no cop. Let's see, put a cop on every train? Is that what we're going to do? Every car? The cops in the front car, you go to the back car, whatever. I mean, having lots of cops isn't the answer. So again, goes back to my point. If you don't know who's armed, things change. If you don't know if you might get shot, you might not do that. I agree. Tom says, can't wait to hear Larry's reaction to Lieutenant Governor. That's coming, my friend. That's coming. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Andrew goes, yeah, because all gun control they have really worked. Yep, absolutely. 100%. Anthony says, May already use this to preach gun control. Yes, that's all he knows. That's all he knows. That's all he knows. So of course he'll do it. Again, they don't know any better. I've given them answers on my website. They won't go there. Of course not. Yes. So Gene says, maybe the gunman disabled the cameras as part of his plan. I hadn't even thought of that. All right. Yeah, maybe. Maybe the gunman knew this, right? Maybe he somehow unplugged them or broke them or something, if that's the thing. I don't know how the cameras work, to tell you the truth. But maybe he knows that. Perhaps he did. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So, all right. BKNY says this NYC crime is driving me nuts. We need conceal, carry, open carry. Police can't be everywhere. Yes, yes, and yes. My point, I think also Shelley's point, right? If we knew, right, who had it and who we don't know who has it, yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So, Avi says, Larry, I saw you on Kennedy last year. I think you mean yesterday. Well, I agreed that Elon Musk won't change Twitter. I think you saying that he's a grifter was inaccurate. He probably wants to, but he will be blocked by the board and the woke work staff. Maybe. He seems genuine and a real innovator and not a freeloader or grifter. I appreciate your opinion. Disagree on that. Just publicity stunt. I disagree. I don't think anyone, I could be wrong. I'm prepared to be wrong on this one. I don't think anyone as popular as him has taken more government money than him. I think that's accurate, but I'm prepared to be wrong on that. Someone can show me. I'm pretty sure he's taken the most money of any of the wealthy, people like the Bill Gateses, and all the billionaires, right? The Warren Buffetts. I think he's taken the most government money of all of them. So I think he is the king grifter. I think that's true. But you know what, Avi, I'm prepared to be proven wrong on this one. I'm sure though he's the king grifter. I think so. So yes. Anthony says, not just illegal, but double secret illegal. Yeah, Anthony, that makes it worse. So it's double. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, all right. Sal the hamster, thank you, Sal, says, because the second district court only struck down parts of the SAFE Act, then federal courts use SAFE Act as grounds for gun control. Yes. Yes. So the issue is what we don't understand is, see, the SAFE Act made people safe. So I don't understand how they can be gun violence, Sal. The SAFE Act made us safe. So this doesn't make any sense. The SAFE Act solved all the problems. I don't know what's going on. Nez says, really need you as governor, Larry. I agree. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Scott says, I think a massive campaign by the NRA or other private group with the message, one coward uses guns when they're mad and or using a gun to assault screams to the world how weak you feel inside, be more effective than any law or regulation. I think your point's a valid one, but it can't be the NRA. The NRA is just a shield group for the Republican Party. You literally have the leader of the NRA go to CPAC and say, we need to enforce the current gun laws. No, there's too many already. So no, it's got to be GOA, Gun Owners of America. If anyone does that, GOA, not NRA. NRA is a lost cause, fooling people and stealing their money. It's just a shield for the establishment. The NRA is a terrible organization. GOA is the answer. So yes, I think you're right. Just not NRA. Make it GOA. I'm in. I like that. Yes. So Avi says, Larry, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist. No, you don't, Avi. You don't. And it's fine. There's tons of them here. You're with family. It's totally fine. But this may have been orchestrated to distract from the fact that New York State's lieutenant governor was just criminally indicted for bribery. It just seems so convenient to distract everyone from the kleptocracy this state has become. That would be tough. I mean, I guess it's possible, but that'd be tough because to make that happen, that's a tough one, right? Because you'd have to know that was going to happen. And the Republicans didn't know it was going to happen. So it would have to be that the Democrats knew it was going to happen, hired a guy to shoot people just in the legs. That's a tough one. Maybe, but that's a stretch to me. That's a stretch to me. Because what would have had to happen? And then what if he actually killed people? See, so you're saying that's why no one died? Maybe. That's a stretch. But I could be wrong. We'll find out, I guess, 2 years from. Remember, whatever's conspiracy theory now is truth 2 years from now. So 2 years from now, you maybe give me the I told you so. Because that's how it seems to work, right? 2 years from now, it's real. So maybe you're right. Yes. The Ultimate Warrior says, that settles it. Mass shootings are over. I know. I wish you just said this before. Why'd she wait so long? Elaine says, if you insist, Queen. Yes. Why didn't she say it like 8 months ago? I don't get this. Yes. So, all right. Let me see if I can keep going down here. Did she say thoughts and prayers yet? No, they can't say that anymore. They can't say that anymore. No, they have to stop that now. It doesn't work. So Sal says, this is the results of 40 plus years of machine politics. 100% yes. Yes. Absolutely true. Yes, absolutely. And so yes, he some of you asking if did the mayor get COVID? He did. He has COVID, and he's Mr. Super Healthy Guy. So he should I'm assuming he'll be okay. He's in good shape physically. He's like a vegan, I think, or vegetarian. I think he's vegan. He might be vegetarian, but I think he's vegan and he works out. So he'll probably be okay. So unless he has some comorbidity I don't know about, heart problem or something, I don't think he does. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Shelly says, amen. She should be apologizing. Yeah. Yes. Byron says, I'm not sure if I've ever heard any politician apologize for anything. I have when I've been wrong. I apologize. I've apologized for things that I said that I shouldn't have said. You can catch it. I do say it. And if Avi's right, I'll be telling him 2 years from now, Avi, sorry, you were right, man. I'll be telling him that. So yes, absolutely. Elaine says they'll never admit they were wrong. But you know what? This is the part that I have to bring up. That's really important. So many of us, and not just conspiracy theories like me and Avi, not just us, we don't trust government. Many of you listening, you watching, you don't trust government either. How are we going to get government to be felt like we believe it again? How are we going to get to believe in our institute, not even government, institutions in general, colleges, the CDC? How are we ever going to trust them again? Only one way. What you just said, Elaine, they have to admit that they're wrong, say they're sorry, tell us how they're going to fix it. And then over time, if they are super transparent and we see all the flaws and all the yeses and all the nos, over time, we might start believing them again. That's the only way. And that's not 5 minutes. That's literally years of being so transparent that we can look inside and see all the flaws and go, okay, you show me the flaws too? Okay, maybe I'll trust you now. But that's the only way. They're going the opposite. They're going the opposite. They're just going hardcore. The Red Vapes says, why do these people think wars on inanimate objects like the failed war on drugs will work? Now, they've never worked in the history of the world. Correct. Ever. They never work and they never stop trying. They never work and never stop trying. Absolutely. Yes. So, Andrea says, join your locals and join the extra content. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. I am on locals, by the way. If you guys would head on there, I appreciate that. Yes. Sheriff's departments tend to follow the Constitution. This is true. Sheriffs tend to be better. Very good point, Shelley. Not always. This is it. Sheriffs are humans too, and you will find some bad sheriffs. But generally speaking, when you compare sheriffs to police departments, generally speaking, sheriffs are going to follow the Constitution more because sheriffs are elected, right? So they tend to be more. They're elected. They're beholden to the people specifically. Where police chiefs are selected almost always by some politicians, so they become more loyal to the politicians. Where sheriffs tend to be loyal to constitutions. So again, there are bad sheriffs. Sheriffs are humans, and there are good police chiefs. They're humans. But I think you generally are correct. Sheriffs tend to be closer to the Constitution than police forces do. It's true. Very true. Yes. So Shelley says, continues, what could the FDNY have done to stop this crime? Nothing. They're just pandering. They're just pandering. That's all. It's just pander, 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 pander. That's it. Yes. So, all right. Let's see if I can do this. DC Kalen, did I get that right? Said no one died. No, which is why I think the person probably had the gas mask on, has not been trained how to fight with the gas mask on. So when he fired, he probably fired from the hip. And usually if you fire from the hip, you shoot low. It's a common thing. You shoot low when you fire from the hip. So he, instead of hitting his targets, he shot low and hit him in the legs and arms and ricocheted off the floor. Again, if you're in urban combat, ricochets are a huge piece. So yes. Sam says, which is worse, the pandering or the fact that people still fall for it? Well, what I would say is if people didn't fall for it, they wouldn't be pandering. So I think it's the falling for it that's worse. They're doing it because it works. So I think that's the issue. So yes. The HTS disciple says, when I was working, I took this train. I literally dodged a bullet. There we go. There we go. Yes. So, all right. See if I can do this here. Tom says I can testify. Illinois sucks. Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's good. Byron says, so are they going to refund the police now? Or are they going to send community service members to the subways to talk to the man in the gas mask? Well, you know what? This is a great point, Byron. And if you've seen how I've talked about being able to fix the police force, I talk about these issues, right? And one of the things I brought up was what I think is maybe even a nutty idea for some people, but you want to be able to have a situation where you can help the right people and have active policing with active policing and have community as part of your police force, right? If you do that, you will have a better police force. New York City police is very different than most local police forces. What's your local police force have? 200 cops, 100 cops, sometimes 5 or 6 cops, right? Local police forces tend not to be that large. New York City's police force is 40,000 strong. Small army, right? It's huge, right? So it's a large army. There's only 200,000 Marines. So it's 20% of the Marine Corps, right? So it's a big organization. So I think they're going to change things around. So yes. Anyway, let me see if I can grab a couple of these if I can. So alrighty. I do want to go if I could. Let me see if I grab it. Liberty Cause says the cities with the harshest gun laws seem to have the most gun violence. I think you mean gun, not fun violence. Yes. Yeah. You're right. They have the most gun violence. Raina says, I think Elon Musk is going to surprise all of us in the coming months, years. Could be extremely good or extremely bad. He's hard to read. I stand by what I said on Kennedy last night. We'll see what happens. I owe her a pair of shoes if I'm wrong. So we'll see, right? We'll see how that works. So I want to bring up the part that other people are talking about, which is Lieutenant Governor getting arrested. For those who don't know, our Lieutenant Governor was arrested this morning on basically bribery and fraud charges, right? That's basically what he was arrested on. You might say, what? Lieutenant Governor arrested? Yeah. So the governor before Cuomo Spitzer left in disgrace. Cuomo left in disgrace. And now this one is bribery charges. Now, again, Illinois is worse. Illinois got like 3 of the last 4 governors in jail. So Illinois is worse, but we're bad. Like, we're trying to be like Illinois. We're trying our best to be like you, Tom. We're trying to be like you, Tom. We're hoping. We're trying to get as good as you. As bad as you, I should say. But no. So he got arrested this morning. So some people think, the obvious point, that maybe this is some kind of distraction, right? I'm not sure that's true. I feel like it's a bit of a stretch for me. But he did get arrested. You might go, okay, wait a minute. What's going on with this arrest? Why would they arrest him? There's several things that I have a problem with here. And the first thing, to be forward with you, it's gonna sound like I'm defending him. I'm not defending him. But what he got arrested for is something that they do all the time in this state. I feel like he was targeted. And let me explain why I feel like he was targeted. If you look at his actual charges, and for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show you this real fast. This is there's a full indictment, but I talk about what he's doing here. Let me show you what he was actually, his actual charges, if I can. His actual charges are, if you can read, bribery, honest services wire fraud, bribery and honest services wire fraud conspiracy, and falsification of records, 2 counts. That's what his indictment says. Now, why does this matter? Okay, there's a problem here. Why I think this is BS. Anytime you hear the charge wire fraud, that's not a real crime. What? It's not. Now, it's a crime by law. It's a crime, but it's a bogus, made up crime. What wire fraud means is you did something across state lines. That's all that means. Why does that matter? Because they use wire fraud so they can bring the feds in. And this is why this matters. This is a nuance that you should really understand. If you're in a jury and you hear wire fraud, no, that's a BS law. It's not a real crime. It's just a way to bring the feds in. Why? This guy's lieutenant governor. But when his issue is, it wasn't about him being lieutenant governor. He was like, I think, a state senator or a state assemblyman. And the charge is he gave a contract for like $50,000 to one of his cronies in return for them giving him a bunch of money to his campaign. That's every New York politician. I talk about this all the time. That is the way they do things. Why in the world, I literally said this last week, why in the world does Kathy Hochul want to have $850 million given to big business to build the Buffalo Stadium? So she can hand those jobs out. Why would she hand those jobs out? those people write a check for $40,000 to her campaign. That is legal. In my view, totally unethical, but that's how New York State works. They all do it. It's the thing. If you remember, when was it Silver? That guy, so many people have been arrested. Their defense, I'm not joking, their defense was everybody does it. And I gotta tell you, if I'm on a jury, I'm like, yeah, you're right, everybody does it. This is the norm in my state. They all go to jail for the same thing that everyone does. And their defense is, you can't get anything done unless you do this. And they're right. I wish they were wrong. Our system is broken. How do I know that? If the people in your system keep going into jail, it's not the people, it's the system. If most people don't go to jail, then one guy or gal goes to jail, it's that person, and there's always a bad person. But if people are constantly going to jail, it's the system. The system is either broken or it's so corrupt it brings in bad people, probably both. Anyone of any true competence can understand this. As a business trainer, as a business executive and coach, of course I know this. As a consultant, when I see bad things constantly happen, I don't assume everybody's bad. That's pretty stupid. Instead, I assume the system is broken. It's either attracting bad people or it makes people bad because it's how you get things done. And because everybody's doing it, social proof, as I tell you about often, people think it's not bad. Remember this, if you see everybody doing it around you, you assume it's not bad. And be very clear, everyone in New York State politics is doing exactly this. I've told you many times about it. I've given you examples of it. It's what they do. They either give you a contract, or they put you on a board, or they put you on a committee, and then the people give you $10, $20, $30, $40,000. Why do you think our numbers are so high? If you want to donate to me, you give me $44,000. Of course. Because if I become governor, I can give you big contracts. Of course. That's what's 40 grand. You get some $100 million contract, you're happy with that check. There you go, Larry, 40 grand. I get that contract. That's how business is done in my state. So he got arrested for doing what we always do. Why do I bring this up? Because what he did was done in New York State, within New York State, with New York State people. Why are the feds involved? Why are they involved? Why is the FBI involved with a local matter? Doesn't New York State have bribery laws? It does. You have to have wire fraud charges or the feds can't come in. So if you know what I showed you, it was bribery and then honest services wire fraud, and then bribery and honest services wire fraud conspiracy. You know what that means? It's gonna blow your mind when I tell you this, but this is what they actually do. What probably happened is he texted someone or called someone or emailed through his phone. I'm very serious. If he sends an email through his phone or calls or texts someone through his phone, there is a possibility that signal bounced off of a tower that was not in New York State. I'm not joking. There is a possibility that the signal bounced off of another tower that was not in New York State. Don't have to prove it, maybe. In which case, if that happens, if you commit a crime and you use a phone, the feds can now come in and go, wire fraud. I wish I was joking. I'm not. And if you lawyers tell me I'm wrong, none of you can, because you know I'm right. I'm saying this openly. No one's going to fight me. That's how it works. So that means someone tipped off the feds on this. Why would they? Why wouldn't you just have Letitia James take care of them? I'll tell you why Letitia James can take care of them. Because they're all in the same ticket. For those of you who know, Letitia James is our attorney general. Who should be prosecuting him? It shouldn't be the feds. It should be her. Why isn't she doing it? Well, because all four of them are on the same ticket for 2022. Letitia James, Benjamin, and Hochul. Same Democratic slate. They're all on the same slate. She's going to put her own guy in jail. They knew she wasn't going to do that. So someone tipped her off. So that means somebody, it wasn't the Republicans. Republicans are completely ineffective in my state. There's no way they could have figured this out or done this. Impossible. No way. They're totally inept. So I'm sure they didn't do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Chuck Schumer or someone like that, I don't know of him, but if someone like him or in that world said, hey, Benjamin's a liability. We gotta get rid of him. Why don't we have the feds reach out, and he's doing something bad because we all are. We'll just find a way him did it on his phone. We'll call it wire fraud. And you might be saying to yourself, Larry, is this wire fraud thing? Is it real? Yes. Think about it. Why is it not a crime? If you murder somebody and then you use a knife to murder them, do you get charged twice? Do you get charged with murder and then knife murder? Well, you shouldn't. You murdered somebody. So if you bribe somebody, but use a phone, do you get charged with bribery and then phone bribery? Yes, that's what wire fraud is. Literally, you're getting charged twice for the same crime. It's not a crime. The crime is bribery. Wire fraud is not a crime. I mean, it is a crime. It's a BS made up crime. Bribery is the crime, which is a crime. It should be a crime. Yes. So why wire fraud? So feds can come in. This makes it so now Lisa James won't be prosecuting. Now the feds will. So why would the feds want to prosecute this guy? For some reason, they got to get rid of him, and he didn't do anything. I'm sorry, he did. He didn't do anything that every other New York politician is doing. This is how they do things. But coincidentally, this happened before he took office. Isn't that weird? So Hochul is out of the water, I guess. But again, think about this. Hochul is now going to be in a position to where, as always, stuff just happened all around her. She had no idea how bad Cuomo was. She had no idea how bad this guy was. My gut says, and I don't know this, but it's my feeling only, that someone wants to put their person in place underneath her. That's what my gut says. Someone wants to put, their person in place, whoever that person is. I think here's how we'll know. If all of a sudden you find someone at the federal level, like Schumer or Biden or someone like that, who's all of a sudden saying, oh, this is the great person, I love this person, and they become lieutenant governor. There we go. That's what it was. If that happens. We don't know if that will happen. But if that happens, yes, that's what will happen. This is more corruption. And again, more complete incompetence. Are you telling me that Kathy Hochul didn't know this? Now, let's say she didn't. Either way, either she didn't know that Benjamin was a bad guy. Okay, bad off the bat. You didn't do any due diligence at all? You didn't check anything? All right, maybe you didn't. Maybe you're desperate for a guy, I don't know, but you'd think you'd know. You think you would, but maybe you don't. She doesn't know this is coming down the pike? Now, if she doesn't know it's coming down the pike, one of the things is true. One, James didn't know or didn't tell her, or no one else leaked it to her. She's the governor and no one leaked it to her? So she had no idea? She didn't have a statement prepared? She did not. That's terrible. Horrible. Terrible. This did not go well for her. I feel terrible for all the people around who are looking at it going, what happened? What happened? There's people who work for him who now are out of a job now. Because now he's gone. They're tainted for being in his office because he gave a bunch of his friends jobs. Because, again, they all do that. They get their friends jobs. So at least the one thing I'll give Eric Adams, I'm clearly not an Eric Adams fan, but I'll give him this. He's like, yeah, I give my friends jobs. We all do it. He said that. He said it right in front of the press. Yes, I give my friends jobs. We all do it. I know. I've been saying it for years. It's literally how we do things here. So what? Either stop it or just make it legal. It's what we do. Either stop doing it or just make it legal. Why are we pretending like it's illegal when everybody does it? At least Eric Adams said it. I'm like, yes, well done. I always try to give credit where credit is due, and he said it. And the press went, you're right. And the press walked away. This actually happened about 3 months ago, 3 months ago. The press was pushing him on, why are you giving your friends these jobs? He was like, we all do it, shut up. And the press was like, you're right. And they walked away. And you don't hear it anymore. But he stopped. So at least, I guess he was honest. Again, I'm not trying to, I gotta be clear on this. I don't want to say that being unethical is okay. What I'm saying is, we know that this is how it is done. Why do we pinpoint him? Is it Cuomo? I'm with you, Avi. We're doing conspiracy now. Is it Cuomo trying to get back, right? Did Chris Cuomo beat up CNN and now Andrew Cuomo's beating up Hochul? Is that what it is? Is it some kind of conspiracy like that? but I do wonder why the feds are involved in an absolute local case. In theory, this shouldn't be federal. He did the bad things all within New York State. They added wire fraud. Remember, anytime you hear wire fraud, it's a bogus charge. It's just added so they can get feds involved. Otherwise, you can't get a fed involved, right? If it doesn't cross state lines, the feds don't have any jurisdiction. So they make up wire fraud to say, well, that might have crossed the border, therefore it's federal. So now the feds can prosecute. So yeah, that's why they do that. Just so you're aware. So I'm sorry. Let me go down a couple of these if I can. All right. Let's see here. Dave says, yes, Larry, let's do that. Let's have cops in every street corner, have the military driving around Humvees and MRAPs, and a curfew at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Dave, that might happen. This city, that might happen. Because remember, they don't care. They keep pushing. Absolutely, absolutely, they keep pushing. Yes. Red says, Bloomberg definitely took a lot of money, a lot of government money, but probably not as much as Elon Musk. Yeah, I don't know. Bloomberg also did, yes. But I don't think as much as Musk. I think he did the most. I think he did. I could be wrong though. So Sal says, isn't the subway system falling apart? Yes. I swear I remember Cuomo say I need to pay to fix it, even if I'm nowhere even close to it. Yes, you are correct. Absolutely. So Be Vegan Now says GOA is better than NRA. Yes. Jamie says NRA negotiating rights away. 100%. Yes. GOA is way better than NRA. 100% true. Yes. 100%. So, Novatrix says, what happened? It's so hard to keep up with current events. Chat, what's going on? You know what? I agree with you. You guys know how much time I spend researching stuff, how much time I spend learning every day. Oh my, so I can't work anymore. I literally can't work. I am, yes, all the time. Yes. Franchise The Great, is that right? The Great says Firearm Policy Coalition is another great gun organization. Yes, FPC is also great. 100%. FPC, GOA, yes, 100% on board. Yes. Dave says, Larry, Democrats don't want to enforce the current gun laws. I agree. They actually want more. Yes, they want more and more and more. 100%. Yes. So Ultimate Warrior says, Def could be staged to push gun control. You're staging stuff with live guns. That's a real gamble. That's my issue with what you're saying and what Avi's saying. You're staging something with live ammunition where people could actually die. I don't know. Maybe if the guy ends up dead somewhere, maybe. But if they actually catch him, I don't know. It just seems too far to me. It seems too far. It does. So, all right. Let's see if I can do it here right now. Pam says they give us no reason to trust them. And I'll go one step further, Pam. They give us no reason to trust them, and they give us reasons to not trust them. So I'll go even further. They give us no reason to trust them, and then they give us reasons to not trust them. They should reverse it, right? More transparency, and maybe we might begin to trust them. So yes. Brian says, our founders never wanted us to trust government. If you trust government, you won't be able to hold it accountable. Valid point, Brian. Valid point. I want to add what I meant. Not only government, but also our institutions. We should trust colleges. Most of us don't. We should trust the media. Most of us don't. We should trust, the CDC. Most of us don't. But we should, right? In my perfect world, we should be trusting of them. Will they make mistakes sometimes? Of course, it's not humans. So even the CDC will make mistakes. Government will make mistakes. Colleges will make mistakes. But in our perfect world, Brian, we should be trusting all of them. But most of us don't. And that, I guess, is my issue. I should let me rephrase that. Your point's a valid one. I'm saying we should be trusting our institutions, to include government, as a general rule. It should be the old trust but verify. But for many of us, it's like, no. They said it? No. That's not good for our culture, right? So to make it happen, to Pam's point, they have to not only not give us a reason to distrust them, but they've got to give us reasons to trust them and then be transparent. Gene says transparency is vital. Yes, and it won't be overnight. This will take time. This will take more and more time. Yes. So, Ivy says, Larry, now the New York State Lieutenant Governor has been criminally indicted for bribery. How long will it take for Hochul and the woke nutbags to call these allegations racist? Surprised it wasn't the automatic reaction from the media. No. There's a couple things here, right? A couple things. Number one, if they want him gone, they don't want to make him a hero. So they're not going to say it because that would make him a victim, which victim equals hero. So they won't make him a victim to make him a hero. They won't do it. He and his team might do it, right? So maybe Benjamin and his team might go, oh, they might do that because they want to become a hero and get off. That's possible. But if they want him gone, they don't want to make him a hero. So they'll just go, no, he's just a bad guy, and we're lucky we got him now. They're only going to call that if they actually want him to become a hero. My gut is they want him gone. Remember, New York State's run by Democrats. The federal government's run by Democrats. Why would they want him out? There's a reason. Why would they indict him? There's a reason. So that's what I think. So, all right. Let's see. Anthony says, but we don't see you as a politician. Too much honesty and transparency. I'm hoping others will follow my way, Anthony. I hope so. Yes. MW Knox says, I'm not vegan. Vegans eat Oreos and drink Coca-Cola. I eat a plant-based centered life. Eric Adams, unfortunately, a plant-based centered life won't fix crime. Yes and yes. So that was my point. I wasn't sure if he was vegan or vegetarian. So he's kind of a mix of them, I guess. He doesn't eat Oreos and drink Coke. So yeah, good for him. Look, I'm not mad at the guy. I whatever makes him happy and makes him, as healthy as he can be, good for him. My issue is how he forces it on others, right? Making vegan Fridays and stuff. Don't force others. If that works for you, do you. If veganism works for you, good on you. Vegetarianism, do what's going to make you happy and you healthy. I'm in. I'll support you. I won't laugh at you, get mad at you. I'll support you. And people who have special dietary concerns and hang out with me, I have a couple of them, and we eat with them, whatever that concern is, whether it's what they want. I have friends who are Jewish who only eat kosher. I go to kosher restaurants. I don't mind. You do you. That makes you happy. It brings you closer to God. I'm in, man. Be close to God. We'll hang out with kosher. I don't mind. Whatever. I go to vegan restaurants too. I got a buddy of mine who went vegan just as almost as a challenge. Crazy. My stepbrother's vegan too. It's kind of weird. But anyway, all good. You do you. I am all in. Just don't force your way on others. As I see it all the time. Yes. So anyway, let's see here. Craig says, will anyone care the lieutenant governor was arrested for bribery? Also, Queen Kathy, $600 billion to her husband's cronies. It's a joke, and people will probably vote for her again. Yes. Craig, here is the worst part of it all. Republicans will be inept. Democrats will be inept, because they always are. Democrats will simply hope this gets forgotten, because it will eventually. November's a long time away. Republicans will hype on this forever, as they did last time. They'll follow the same playbook. They're corrupt. Do you remember how much time, for those of you who were paying attention in 2018, how much Republicans yelled how corrupt Cuomo was? They yelled that from the rooftops and got 35% of the vote. And Cuomo was clearly corrupt. He still won the election handily, and Republicans only got 35% of the vote. That's it. Guess what's going to happen this time? They're going to yell, Kathy's corrupt and stupid, whatever. They're going to yell the same stuff. Because Republicans in my state, maybe your state's different. I don't know your state. I know my state. Republicans in my state don't have a plan. No plan. Planless. Clueless. They wouldn't know a plan if it bit them on the ass. They have no idea. They go, oh, what's this thing on my ass? Oh, throw it away. They have no idea. All they have is, other guy bad. That's all they know. And they'll keep that. And that didn't work. That hasn't worked in 20 years and not going to work this time. Dave says, Democrats, Republicans don't want to be transparent. Yes. They only want power. Yes. Just look at Democrats in New York and Maryland and Republicans in Florida. Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. Adrian says, Hochul's speech sounds familiar to many 9/11 speeches from that day, the recycling. I got to tell you, a couple people, I didn't show you all the speeches, but some of them brought up 9/11. And I was like, really? The part that bothers me about this, right? If you've ever been through this, if you've ever been through something violent, you've been in a fight, you've been beaten by somebody you love, you've been hurt by someone, shot, mugged, any of these things, that sticks with you. It does. You almost become a different person for at least a short period of time, sometimes for a long time. Worst example of this is women who've been raped, violently raped. I mean, Any rape is bad, but violent is what I'm talking about. In this case is violent. So even if this sticks with them, usually the rest of their life. But for sure, before they find some way to process, some way to try to heal and recover, this sticks with people. These people who there was all of a sudden gas and then were shot, people running out and dragging them out and bleeding, that's going to stick with them for I don't know how long, depending on the person. Some people that's going to stick forever. Some it won't. Some will heal faster. Some will have more support structure. Some won't. Some will go get help. Some will fight and not get help. Who knows what's going to happen? Those people are at least temporarily, if not permanently scarred, not just mentally, but probably bullet wounds physically scarred. And we went to 9/11, get these guys. Getting these guys doesn't give them any help. Doesn't change them. It's not helpful. I mean, I want them to get the guy. I hope they do. But they get the guy. Great. Those people are still scarred. Doesn't change. Where's people who care about those? They don't care. That isn't their issue. So, yes, they brought those up completely. Yes. So, all right. Alice says, if people read local newspapers or news, they're falling for the brainwashing. I got to tell you, the actual best news sources right now are actually local news sources. And they're not great, but they're still actually the best. They're actually the best. And as terrible as that sounds, because a lot of them get down to the gritty and don't just follow what the mainstream says. So, yeah. So Alice goes on to say, do searches to find out information. That's usually the way of doing it. Yes. Yes. So Dave says, National Review reports they found the shooter's U-Haul. There we go. There we go. Maybe we'll see what happens. There we go. So, all right. Let's see here. Byron says, wow, didn't know it was that large, but it makes sense. Yes, 40,000. Absolutely. Who was lieutenant governor? A guy named Benjamin is lieutenant governor. I don't know who'll be now. He resigned. He resigned this morning. They'll find a new one. And that's my point. Who do they make as a new one, right? Is there someone they want who is a better lieutenant governor? Maybe. Yes, maybe. Who knows? Jericho says he's a scapegoat for what we shall see. Jericho, you're onto something. You're correct. You're onto something. That's accurate. Yes. Tom says, yeah. He's talking about Illinois. He says, yeah, we at least jail our crooked politicians, but the sheep still keep electing them. Tom, that's the part that is really weird, right? Isn't like your last 3 governors went to prison or something like that? So you keep electing people who go to jail. So again, one of 2 things is true. The system is so broken, you've got to be corrupt to get anything done, or the system is so corrupt, it keeps attracting crooks. Either way, it's a system issue, right? Either way, it is a systems issue. It's not an individual issue. That's my point. So yes. All right, let's see if I can do this here, if I can. All right, Anthony says, every politician, not just New York. Yeah, I think you're kind of right. I think you're kind of right, yes. Shelley says, the contractor who got the job of building the new Tappan Zee Bridge was called Tappan Zee Construction. Nothing to see there. Yes, they do that all the time, Shelley. You're right. And most people don't realize this. The way they're corrupt is they'll want someone to build the Tappan Zee Bridge. So they want to put people together who are all cronies. So it's not so easy to find the cronies. So they create 2, 3, or 4 holding companies that are all wrapped upon wrapped and end up being the Tappan Zee Construction Company, which is just a temporary company to build a Tappan Zee Bridge filled with all the cronies to all get their cuts. Yes, happens all the time. All the time. That also is the norm. So I don't know why that's even a bad thing. Yes. So, all right. Alan says, how local politicians get themselves raises with the consent of the locals. Yeah, also true. Andrea says they need a fall guy. Yes, 100%. Logic says, wire fraud? Yeah, it's bogus. It is. Dave says it's such a thing as dishonest service wire fraud. What it means is dishonest service. Why does wire fraud there? For the feds. And there's something else if you saw. It's called bribery and honest services wire fraud conspiracy. So let me tell you what that is. What that means is, Dave, you and I talked about the crime on the phone. That's what that means. That is wire fraud conspiracy. So say Dave and Larry, they're convicted of conspiracy. No, we talked on the phone. We committed a crime, whatever the crime was. So literally, if you and I talk on the phone about bribing each other, right? We're going to bribe each other, whatever. We talk on the phone. I'll give you the $100. You give me $10,000, whatever. Go back and forth. That should be the crime. We talked about bribing, and then I gave you the money and bribed you to do the thing. That's bribery. That's the crime. So we should be charged with bribery, the crime, but we're not. We're charged with disservice, honest services fraud, which is bribery. And then we're charged with bribery and honest services wire fraud conspiracy. We talked about it. That's still the crime. Why is it a different crime? So it's different if I just give you the, how can I give you the bribe if I don't talk about giving you the bribe? This is a way of adding more charges for nothing. They just add, this is how prosecutors just make it worse. They just add charges. Not that I'm against guy going to jail for bribery, but it's bribery. The whole crime is just bribery. It's just ways of adding more stuff and making them have to negotiate down. This is just ensuring they add so many things. Each one has like 3 years, 5 years, whatever. So you add so many things on, so you have to plead. This system is just made so that we don't go to court. By the way, a trial by your peers is your right. This is a way of you not getting your rights. If they throw 75 charges, the charge should only be one thing: bribery. That's the charge, bribery. Now, why is there falsification of records? Because he said he's going to do something, but he's not really. He's just going to take the money. That's called bribery. But we have 2 counts of falsification of records too. They just add stuff on top of it. I'm sorry, I just keep going down the road. It's just, this is fine for this guy. He might deserve it. But this stuff is used against all of us constantly to ensure we don't get our rights. Constantly. And the funny thing is, Benjamin 100% would be behind all of these laws. Of course he would. He'd want more of them. Of course he would. He'd be totally on. And if someone else was arrested, he'd be on TV like, these evil people, corrupt. He'd be on board hammering them. So there is a bit of pettiness in me that enjoys this. However, there's a big however here. He deserves his rights too. We all do. We all deserve our rights. And this type of system is the BS system. Well, there is a part of me that's petty and goes, good, you got what you deserve. At the same point, I think, you know what? No, because it could happen to me, Dave, you, Alice, Avi, any of us. Bribery. That's the crime. Did you do it? You did. Pay your price. You didn't do it? Have a nice day. Why do I got to add 17 different charges so you can just be so scared you just say you did it even if you didn't? Which happens all the time. Now, not for this guy. He's got money. He'll have a lawyer. He won't just plead for nothing. But the average guy, yeah, 100%. Yes. So Alice says Hochul was part of Cuomo's ordeal. I wish we could push it to that, but no. Red says, isn't Letitia James still chasing Trump around trying to get him on something? I know she said that's why she dropped the Cuomo case. But we know it's because the AG is in Cuomo party. You know, I think, I'm going to tell you what I said it before and I still stand by it. The reason why James didn't prosecute Cuomo is Cuomo made a deal somehow. And I think it's probably cash. Like, I won't run if you don't prosecute, or I won't give so-and-so money if you don't prosecute, or I will give money if you do prosecute, or something like that, right? Something like that's my assumption. That's what I think happened, to be forward with you. I think it was a deal. Cuomo's too savvy, right? Again, hate the man, but he's smart. James, pretty smart too, right? She's pretty smart too. So these smart people. So my assumption is they made a deal. James is smart. She's smart. Cuomo's smart. I think they made a deal, right? Hochul, not so much. She can fall for stuff, but whatever. Ivy says, Larry, any other media appearances upcoming? Tons of them. I'm on all the time. If the Republicans want to lie to debate Lee Zeldin, hopefully media personalities like Rogan, Dave Rubin, Glenn Beck on independent podcasts will allow you to debate. No, he's not going to. He has no stop. He's a Republican. He doesn't have any vision for New York. No vision. What Republican has a vision for New York? Okay, I'll be very clear. I've said it before. I'll just say it again to be clear about all you guys who are thinking about Republicans winning the state. Republicans are never going to win a state. They know that too. That's why they have no vision for the state. Why should they? They don't have any policies. Go to any of their websites. Go to any of their social media. There's no policy. There's rhetoric. There's no policy. They're not going to win. They know they're not going to win. They are literally lying to you, telling you that they have a chance of victory. They have no chance of victory. But the worst part is we go, Larry, you don't have a chance either. But I have a chance to change something, right? If the Republican comes in second, what changes? Nothing. They always come in second. Nothing changes. They've been coming in second for 20 years. And the state's been going in the garbage in the toilet. So it'll come in second again, and the state continues to go down the toilet. So you throw your money away in Republicans, and again, not locally. Republicans win locally in New York State. They don't win statewide elections. I'm going to be very clear on that. Locally, Republicans do win in New York State. They do not win statewide. So they're not going to win statewide. It's 3-1, Democrat, Republican. Not going to happen. You can say, well, she's terrible. I will ask you, if you are a self-identified conservative or a self-identified Republican, what would it take for you to vote for Hochul? Thank you. Nothing. It doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Maybe if she writes you a personal check for $1 million, maybe you would. Maybe. And you still might not, but you might. Democrats feel the same way about the Republican. They're not voting for Republican. They hate Republicans. Republicans hate Democrats. Democrats hate Republicans. Not doing it. Not going to happen. So whatever, they don't have the Republicans for this state do not have a vision because they're not going to win. They know it. Everybody knows it. I'm sorry. All the elites know it. Sadly, the average Republican in New York State does not know it. They still think this is the year. You're fooling yourself. Not going to happen. Never. Not going to, well, not never. Not in the next 5 years. That I'm sure of. Not going to happen. So Democrat or an outsider is going to win. And I go, Larry, you can't win. Maybe I can. It's possible. Maybe you're right. But here's the reality. Democrats will vote for me. If Hochul screws up enough, those Democrats have 3 choices. Choice number 1, stay home. And some will. We saw that with the Bernie bros. We saw that then. 2, hold their nose, vote for Hochul anyway. We saw that with some who voted for Hillary. Yep. Or 3rd, vote for me. That's it. They're not voting for the Republican. That's not going to happen in this state. So he loses no matter what. I might lose too. But if I come in second, things change because I have actual ideas that people will listen to. If I come in a strong 3rd, things change because people will listen to me and we'll start making changes. So with me, you get change. You vote Republican or Democrat, you get the same crap you've had for the past 20 years. If you're okay with that, please vote Republican or Democrat. You will get the same crap you have for 20 years. It'll keep going regardless of your vote. You want change? Vote for me. So I like what you're saying, but none of them are going to debate me. They know better. They will get slaughtered because they have no vision and they have no ideas and they have no policy. They will embarrass themselves. They know that. That's why they will never debate me. They'll just be embarrassed. All they're going to do is go, back to blue or Democrats evil. And I'm going to say, how about fixing this? They're going to go, I don't know what you're talking about, Larry. I know you don't because they don't have to know. So I don't mean to be mean. That's not my point. I hope I didn't come across that way. I'm just trying to be realistic here. This is your choice if you're in New York. Vote for the Democrat, Republican, get the same garbage you've been having. And if you like that, good for you. No, don't know why you're watching me if you like it. Or vote for me. And they're not going to debate me. I mean, I would love to. If any of them said, yes, I'm in, you know I'm in. And I would be in last minute. Hey, Larry, don't prep. They've been prepping for 3 months. Do it tomorrow. I'm in. See you tomorrow. Done deal. Yes. So, all right. I'll see if I can keep going down here if I can. Alice says our government, hold on. See if I grab this here. Hold on. Sorry, no, scratch this one. Sorry. Anyone else seen the Cuomo ads? So like for like a week. Yeah, I thought they were thinking about it. I think he was still thinking about it. I do. I think he's still, the issue is, right, you might have heard this already. And Avi, I think you'll love this. I'm glad you're watching tonight. It's good. I think you'll love this. The Democrats have realized that in many cases, the Democrat name has a bad taste in so many people's mouths, and they're worried about that. So the Working Families Party has actually backed Jumaane Williams right now. They want him. They look back at him for the governor. Now, if he loses the primary, which he probably will, the odds are he'll lose the primary. I mean, he might not. The odds are he'll lose the primary, Democratic primary. They may rescind that and just back the Democrat. They did that last time, right? They actually had initially, they had Cynthia Nixon, and then Cynthia Nixon dropped out, and they backed Cuomo. So they may do that again. That would be my assumption. But they're actually thinking about having another party just so people can vote on another line for the same person that's not Democrat. I'm not joking. They're actually considering doing that. Now, the hard part is they just made third parties so hard to get. But the thing for them is they'll just buy it. They have millions of dollars. It's going to cost me 6 figures to get in that line, by the way. 6 figures. I got to pay 6 figures to get the line just so I can have my name on the ballot. They already have literally 8 figures in their accounts. They'll just drop 7 figures and just buy it. I wish I had that kind of money. I could just do it. So maybe. So they're actually considering getting multiple lines for that. I know it's crazy, but it is true. Yes. So, all right. Let's see if I can go down here. Let's see. Elaine says, I want to be able to trust our media. Can't. Elaine, that's my point. I agree with you. I want to be able to also, but they keep not giving us a reason to do so. Again and again and again. They keep doing it. I agree with you. I want to. I'm with you. I just don't. I just don't. Alice goes on. FDA shouldn't be trusted. DOA shouldn't be trusted. I wish I could trust them, Alice. I gotta tell you, I'm with Elaine. I want to, but how can you, right? I mean, but I wish that were true. I wish I had a world where I could just trust them all. That'd be amazing. But yeah, that's not the right answer. So Ryan says, end government acronyms. Basically, take the ABCs and alphabets and get rid of them. I completely agree. It's funny. Remember, the thing that I keep talking about today, and before I go any further, guys, please like, comment, and share. I didn't ask you earlier because I wanted to give you some value, and I hope I've given you a bunch of value tonight. Please like, comment, and share. It does matter tremendously. And of course, support my sponsor, libertarianism.com. Libertarianism.com talks about what I talk about, which is the idea of trusting people, loving people, helping people, making people happy, being about happy people. I remember someone asked me once, they said, Larry, what is the best defense against someone hurting you? What's the best defense against someone hitting you or striking you or assaulting you? What's the best defense? And people often go, well, your Second Amendment. Blah, blah. No, the best defense, and I mean the number one, is having an actual environment that I live in where people don't want to. That is the best defense. So I can't make that magically happen. And maybe you still want Second Amendment. I got it. Second Amendment still should exist no matter what. But imagine a world, and I'm going to a fantasy world here. Imagine a fantasy world where nobody ever, where you could buy a gun if you wanted to, anytime you wanted to, but almost nobody ever did because they were afraid. They bought it for other reasons, sporting, hunting, whatever. They like guns, hobby, right? Wouldn't that be a magical world where everyone felt so safe that they would never buy a gun for protection? That'd be crazy. No one would ever hurt me. That would be awesome. Now, clearly, we don't live in that world. But wouldn't that be great if we can go to that world? Wouldn't it be great if we move towards that world where people would never even imagine having to be worried or scared and would only buy a gun for sport or fun or hobbies because the world is so safe and full of happy people? I get it. I'm in fantasy world. But don't we want to start doing things that move us towards that world versus the opposite? Or where we're happy people don't do bad things except maybe crimes of passion, and that's about it. And even then, hopefully not that violent, right? Maybe just, I don't know, Will Smith, crimes of passion. Like that type, which is still bad, but not killing people at least. I want us to have the best world we can possibly have, filled with happy people. That will be amazing. Libertarians.com talks about that. Do me a favor, take that link, share that link, go there, take some of those tests, share that link out there. It does matter. And of course, if you want to follow me, support me, LarrySharpe.com/donate. Give money if you can give. If you can't give, no worries. Of course, I need money. I always do. I got to pay for all this I just told you about. Of course. And I'm not working anymore. So I can only give as much as I can possibly give, right? But next, you can volunteer. I need volunteers. We start petitioning, right? Next week, we start petitioning. 1 week from today, we need signatures. 2,000 signatures every single day for 35 days to get 70,000 signatures. We need your help. Lots of it. If you can get your butt to New York, get your butt to New York if you can. Even if it's a day, half a day. If you can do it, come on in, do it. Click that volunteer button, click petitioning, and say when you can come in if you can come in. Larry, I'm not a registered voter in New York State. Doesn't matter. You can still hand out stuff, be around, help out. We need every single person to help out we possibly can get. So please come on in, give me whatever you can give me. If you're super awesome and you can give me all 5 weeks, awesome. Quit your job. I'm kidding. Don't quit your job. But if you can take time off and actually come do this, love to have you here in New York State. Come do it. That'd be amazing. If you can't do petitioning, no worries. Can you help me on policy? I need policy people. Writing white papers, all those things. You might say, Larry, why would I want to write a white paper for you? Because your name will be on it. Show your friends, family, new job, whatever you want. If you're in academics, you're going to publish it, whatever you like. It's yours. Take it. My policies are for everybody. You see it. They're on my website. Everybody can take them. White papers, people look at them all the time. Grab them. Put your name on it. You like researching and put a white paper together? Come on in. I need you. Click that policy. Tell me what you can do. What research can you do? I need you. We have to make sure the policies make sense and they have actual numbers behind them. Very good for you to take care of. You can't do that, no worries. Social media, need that too. Volunteer, click social media, show me what you can do. I appreciate it tremendously. If you can do it, please do it. It does matter. Let me grab a couple more comments if I can. So yes. Dave says, Cuomo's campaign slogan, Cuomo 2022, because he can't get any worse. Kind of true, I guess. Yeah, kind of true. Yeah, I guess. But look, I want him to run. I'm not even joking. If Cuomo actually runs, he splits the Democratic vote. Some go to Hochul, some go to him. I got to shut up winning this thing. Yes, jump in, please. If you happen to be watching Cuomo, all those things I said, just kidding. Come on in. The water's nice. Love to have you. Absolutely. Yes. So, all right. Brian says, speaking of making ballot access hard, Iowa third parties just had a big win in court. The Libertarian Party of Iowa challenged a new law requiring third parties to file in March while allowing duopoly to file until August. We won. Congrats. I love that. Yes, absolutely. So John says, WPF, Working Family Party, more often than not, are socialists. They do lean much harder left. And so does Jumaane Williams. Yes, that's right in line with him. He leans much further left. He does. He's not really mainstream in that regard. He's much further left. It's accurate. John also says, Larry, one press opportunity people tend to forget from 2018 was John Stossel. Hopefully he interviews you for a long-form interview. I hope so. That was a good one. John Stossel did interview me too. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. So Lisa says, Larry Sharpe, I think you should have Chris Ann Hall, educational constitutional attorney on the show. She teaches mostly on state sovereignty and county control and has a Republican conservative following. It'd be a good conversation. Connect us. Happy to. If you guys are watching, my team watching, go ahead. I love it. Yes, 100%. All right. Brian says, Larry, in response to obvious debate comment, didn't you win the PBS debate that got no coverage because King Andrew didn't show up? Yes, I was in 3 debates. None of them were televised because Cuomo never showed up. And yes, I won all 3. 100%. Yes. But if you were there, you saw it. And some people were. That's how I know it's true, because people were there. But yeah, no, you're right. If he didn't show, no one even cared. 100%. So, all right. Luke says, what will you do to make sure that church and state remain separate? It's actually very, very simple, Luke. You want to make sure that people understand what the First Amendment actually is. And the problem is most people think that the First Amendment is only about free speech. It is about that, but it's also about freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition your government, freedom of the press. There are many other freedoms in the First Amendment. Most people don't even think about that. They go, oh yeah, freedom of speech, that's the First Amendment. That's it. That's a part of it, but also freedom of religion. So the state cannot be involved with your church, and it should not. It cannot and should not be involved in your church. We have to remember, let people know, the First Amendment isn't only about speech. Again, I'm going to take it away. That is important, but it's not just that, right? It's all those things. If you focus on that, you'll see. And that next thing, religious exemptions, they're there for a reason. It's not because we like you to have a religious exemption. It's because the First Amendment means you have to have one. That's why there are religious exemptions. The First Amendment is right there, right? It's written right there. So that's a most important piece. So I think that's how you do it. So yes. So all right. Let's see. Chip says, Larry, my ancestors work hard getting me to the top of the food chain for me to go vegan. That's actually good. I like that one, Chip. Yes. Look, all I'm saying is you do you. That's what I'm saying. You do you. If that's your thing, do your thing. That's all I'm worried about. Yes, absolutely. All right. Let's see here. So I can grab a couple more of these. Logic says, Adams likes to speak as if he's talking to children. He has a very condescending parental connotation to his voice when he gives speeches. That man is not my father. Stop it. It's one of the reasons why you see me talk like this with you guys all the time, because I want you to know that I'm not sitting there from on high telling you that I know everything. That's not what I'm doing. And I hope you see that. That's why I go back and forth and I respect your comments. That's why I do it. It's why when I do events, you see me do them live and I take questions from the audience and I give them respect, because I don't assume somebody's, beneath me or something. Why would I assume any of those things, right? So I agree with you. I think the best way to do that is to just go back and forth with people and to understand that, again, my point, you heard me say it earlier, right? Firefighters, cops, politicians, we're just humans. We're all just people. Better systems, better results. That's for people to do this for things. Yes, I completely agree, Logic. I think we're on the same page there completely. Absolutely. So, all right. Pete says, are you scheduled to go on any more big shows coming up? Kennedy was awesome. Maybe. Actually, it's going to sound funny. I actually don't know. My team puts together most of my stuff. So I kind of just show up and say stuff. That's kind of what I do. So maybe I hope soon. We'll see. So yes. So I hope that answers your question at least, Pete. I'll let you know when I know. So guys, I want to say thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate the time you give me as always. We are trying our best to make things happen. I am on something coming up here though. Hold on. I'm going to be on Justin O'Donnell's show tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I will be on the Econo Boy podcast on Friday at also 8 p.m. Eastern. And I will have a Reddit AMA from 3 to 6 on the Libertarian subreddit Friday from 3 to 6. And I'll be on Cheddar TV this Thursday at 12:30. So yes, I just looked at my schedule just now, which just popped up. So my team is good. My team's good. So thank you for that, Pete. That is what I'll be on in the coming 3 to 4 days. I have some more stuff. I will be on WMHTV next Monday. I'm seeing all stuff they put in front. Yeah, so I will be doing a couple of things here or there. So as they pop up, I will let you know more and more. All right, guys, thank you so much. Good seeing you. I'll see you all very soon.